Okay. Hi, my name is Danny Gomez, and this is the second part to the Mobile Suit Gundam presentation, short retrospective on mobile suit development. In the last part, we covered the background lore, history, and important technologies, as well as the development of the Zaku 1 and 2, as well as the beginning of the 1 Year War. For this part, we will only be covering Operation V, the technologies that it invented, the innovations found through Operation V, as well the machines and units created, as well as a short history synopsis on the history of a certain very special Operation V machine. So, what is Operation V? Operation V was a project started by the Earth Federation right before the 1 Year War, during around the time that the Principality of Zeon was improving from the Zaku was improving their military stock of Zaku 1s into Zaku's 2s in preparation for their War of Independence, or we now know the 1 Year War. Um, the Operation V didn't gain much part in funding and in development in the time before the 1 Year War, and would only gain access to production facilities and prototyping, as well as extra funding, due in part to the results of the 1 week battle, as well as the outbreak of the 1 Year War. With the 1 week battle showing that the Principality of Zeon's mobile suits were an effective war machine, showing an effective and an effective advantage over traditional naval warships in space combat, showing that Zeon's mobile suits were effectively the next step in military doctrine, and Earth Federation was behind. So they greenlit Operation V with a new set of funding and development, and they created the first answers to Zeon's mobile suits. But the culmination of Operation V would be the Gundam, as stated in the slide. But that's for later. The first technology that Operation V would first successfully innovate on would be beam weaponry, and or beam weaponry. Another reason why Operation V was expensive and also very successful. Beam weapons are an improvement and innovation on megaparticle weaponry, as we discussed last time in the first part. Megaparticle weaponry is Minovsky particles condensed into a highly energetic destructive particle, and then sent out as a projectile, which is contained by an eye field. Now, beam weapons are basically just megaparticle weaponry, but in a less dense state. Basically, what makes beam weapons viable is the fact that beam weapons can now be mounted on mobile suits, or even smaller, or on a smaller platform, such as a rifle for a mobile suit, or like a handle, such as in the picture below, as a beam saber. This is mainly due in part to the invention of the energy capacitor, or the ECAP. The ECAP contains Minovsky particles, a ton of them, right before they fuse into megaparticles, and they keep those Minovsky particles in that state for an indefinite period of time, basically like a battery. And then and this ECAP is then hoisted onto like into an assembly such as a beam rifle or an ECAP, into or a beam saber handle, in which then it would have a generator that would further compress the ECAP's Minovsky particles, and using a jolt of energy from the mobile suit's reactor, and then compresses them into megaparticles. But it wouldn't be highly dense megaparticle projectiles such as the projectiles seen in megaparticle weaponry on naval warships. It would be a less dense projectile, while still highly energetic and destructive, with the same amount of destructive capacity as a megaparticle cannon. It wouldn't. It would still be several magnitudes of order weaker than a megaparticle cannon, but still inordinately destructive, with the capacity to destroy naval warships or massively damage them, or destroy lesser armored foes such as the Zaku in one shot. In one shot. This is the this is the and this is what makes beam weapons so important. These things are basically the Achilles heel for most Principality of Zeon mobile suits for the One Year War. With the invention of beam weapons, the Earth Federation had found their golden sword to fight off against the mobile suits. But because of how new the beam weaponry was, it was very expensive, and only cheaper versions of it that were magnitudes of order of weaker, especially weaker, that could barely destroy Zaku's, would be made for mass production. And better forms would be made later on after the One Year War. But the invention of them here on the One Year War would only show minor usage in prototype units such as the Gundam with full power. Another utilization of beam weaponry is the beam saber, as I've mentioned. The beam saber takes the principle of the beam rifle, utilizing an ECAP and the generator that further compresses it, but takes the idea of what if instead of sending out the eye field as a projectile, we keep the eye field and manipulate it into a beam, into a blade length, creating basically a lightsaber for a mobile suit. The second innovation that Operation V had was Luna Titanium. Luna Titanium was a metal alloy of titanium that was created in Zero G in the lunar facilities that Earth Federation still had control over on the moon in in production facilities. Before the war, the metal alloy would be made in small batches for prototyping and testing. But during the One Year War, these facilities would then be sieged and either destroyed by the Principality of Zeon. And with the One Year War coming around, and at the time of production needed for further prototypes for part of prototypes for Operation V, the Earth Federation just simply didn't have the number of didn't have access or the number of facilities needed for mass production of the alloy. And so, because of that, Luna Titanium only saw usage in prototypes or custom units. But even though Luna Titanium was only seen in those units, its armor was amazing. Leagues of order truths of magnitudes better than the armor plating used on the Zaku super hard steel. Luna Titanium was lightweight, highly durable, and very easy to work with. The Luna Titanium armor plating could resist several shots, an entire magazine of Zaku machine gun rounds, like an entire magazine of Zaku machine gun rounds, straight to the face, and wouldn't dent and break unless a bazooka was shot at it. The Luna Titanium was a game changer in the durability for Federation mobile suits and prototypes. Another innovation that was found in Operation V machines was the core block system. This thing was basically an injection mechanism for Operation V machines for Operation V's machines test data to be salvaged in the case of mobile suit destruction. This system also had the unintended side effect of creating a modular frame for modules to be implemented on core block frames, mobile suit frames that were built with a core block system in mind. But a major flaw because of this is that structural integrity would be compromised with its implementation, and was seen as but the Earth Federation didn't see massive flaws due to the compromised structural integrity, and saw it as a necessary drawback for testing and testing and test data to be salvaged from any prototypes that were captured or destroyed. Now this takes us to the very first Operation V machine, the RX-75 Gundam. The terminology for Operation V machines would follow RX and then the year that development and design began. standing for Renpo, Federation in Japanese, and X being experimental. The RX-75 was the Federation's first foray into mobile suit development. The Federation at this time was still focused on its big gun doctrine, long to mid-range, high-caliber cannons, and outgunning anything on the field. This thing was plated in Luna titanium plating with a core block system and two high-caliber cannons on its shoulders and two high-caliber machine guns on its hands. This thing had abysmal agility, abysmal maneuverability, and was outright a terrible mobile suit in hindsight. This thing technically had the capacity to function in space with a backpack that had thrusters that could sustain it, but because of the weight of the damn thing, it could barely move in space. And even on Earth with its tank treads, because of the weight of the damn thing, barely moved fast at all. This thing was a mobile artillery piece, and because of that, the Federation had to draw up a new design for a prototype mobile suit for the Federation. It was come about in 0077, a complete redesign of the gun tank, called the gun cannon. This thing would be a bipedal mobile suit, more in the lines with the designs of the Zaku, with 2 legs, 2 arms, and actual hands. This thing would be developed with 2 high-caliber cannons on its shoulders, same as the gun tank, but with vastly improved maneuverability, and agility, with an imitation AMBEX system as well implemented. This thing would be plated with heavy-duty lunar titanium armor plating, as well as field motors as the Earth Federation had no access to the Principality of Xeon's fluid pulse system. The fluid motors allowed for high output and high agility, but due to the weight of the armor plating that was put on the gun cannon, as well as the weight of the high caliber cannons, the ammo, and the backpack needed to compensate for the recoil, the thing wasn't as agile as the Federation wanted, and was just mostly seen as another mobile artillery piece. But this thing was a step closer in the right direction for the Federation to create their own genuine mobile suit. This would all culminate in the RX-78. The RX-78-1 would be the first mobile suit that the Federation makes that is actually a mobile suit, more in line with the Zaku's. This thing would be fitted with actual beam weaponry, unlike the gun cannon and the gun tank, which would still be fitted with kinetic weaponry, high caliber cannons. But the gun cannon would be retrofitted with beam weaponry later on, as it could handle beam rifles. But the prototype Gundam was the very first machine to be implemented and designed around beam weapons itself, with beam saber compatibility built in on its backpack, as well as beam rifle capability built in mind. This thing would be created with field motors, which would become common practice for the Earth Federation, as well as Luna titanium plating, but with lighter armor plating compared to the gun tank and gun cannon, core block system, and a core block system. This would prove with all these technologies, with lighter armor plating, would give the prototype Gundam high amounts of agility and a good compromise in durability, with it still being durable enough to handle multiple Zaku machine gun rounds and an entire magazine before breaking. This prototype Gundam would show and prove all the checkmarks that the Federation needed for its mobile suit project, and finalized testing would then soon begin on Site 7. The Federation would then create the RX-78-2, the second unit of the Gundam. This unit would be improved this unit would be improved with improvements that could be with improvements based on flaws and um, based on flaws that were found in the performance in the RX-7 on the prototype Gundam. The implementation of Vulcan guns in the head for a secondary weapon choice if the beam rifle had run out of energy, as run out of energy, and and recharge and a rechargeable and rechargeable beam sabers that could be recharged if they were implemented back into the backpack slot. This mobile suit would be sent out for finalized testing in Site 7 as well with the other Operation V machines before Site 7 was attacked by a Xeon patrol ship. The Unit 2 would then be hijacked by Amuro Ray to fight against the Xeon patrol ship. But that would be another story, which would continue into the next slide. Amuro Ray, an important character, the main character of Mobile Suit Gundam, but a very important person to Mobile Suit development. How can a teenager could beat soldiers? When Amuro Ray fell into the cockpit of the Gundam Unit 2 in the defensive Site 7, he single-handedly defeated an entire squad of Zakus without any casualties. He did not lose his mobile suit, and he did it single-handedly. And an improvement basically unheard of before that point in the 1 Year War. Throughout the rest of the war, he would then excel in combat capabilities with the Gundam as he would board the White Base, a warship developed in line with Operation V as a mobile suit carrier, and would excel in combat capabilities with the Gundam and show incredible performance, killing Xeon aces in every battle that he fought them with. His combat data would then be used would be then used for the improvement of Federation mobile suits, but would also prove one important thing. Amuro Ray was a noob type. His abilities of precognition and high spatial awareness would slowly improve with each battle he would fight in throughout the 1 Year War. And he proved one thing, that new types actually existed, and they proved a major danger. It proved one thing to both Xeon and the Federation. You could either control the new types for your gain, or you killed them so that your enemy did not control them, which was wild. So that ends the second part of this presentation. I mainly just covered Amuro Ray and Operation V. This is because the rest of the 1 Year War is much longer. So very much longer. I'll end on this point on Amuro Ray being a new type. But thank you for watching. This is already sub 20 minutes. Thanks for watching. Bye. I'm so tired. I've had